Welcome to lesson 1 of the semester. We're just going to get started right off the bat with this lesson. So if you find yourself falling behind or struggling with something or you need more clarification, do not hesitate to ask, because things that you're learning now will definitely come into play as we progress through the semester. So this is the first lesson where you really get into the heart of the course content. So again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. That's why I'm here and why I have office hours. So this week, you are going to start working with plot, conflict, character, things like that, and how to analyze them in different works of literature. You are also going to start getting your feet wet with formalism or new criticism. So that's the first literary theory that you're going to be working with. So again, if you need clarification or you just don't have a really solid grasp of it, let me know. I will provide some outside resources for you to look at and see if they can help add some insight. I think the information that BYU Idaho provides for you is perfectly fine. So really, that's where you need to start. But if you still don't feel like you're getting the hang of the theory and how to apply it, then you can look at the resources that I've provided for you, or you can come to me during my office hours and let me know what specifically you're struggling with. So right now I'm on the lesson introduction. You can look over what the learning outcomes are for this week. Because this is the first week of the course content, I wanted to go over your assignments with you one at a time to ensure that you understand what is being expected of you. So I've already mentioned and shown you previously all of the materials that you need are provided within the lesson 1 folder. So really your best bet is to just go straight down, make sure you get everything taken care of, make sure you're looking at all of these activities. I've got them all opened up so that you can see what is contained within them, but just start with activity 1 and go straight on through. So activity 1 is participating in my office hours. Luckily I'm available toward the end of the week, so that if you have questions, you've been able to look at some of the course material fairly well before you really need to come to me for my office hour. Also, if you ever want to just come set up an appointment to work with me one-on-one, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. You don't have to wait till Thursday for that to happen. You're not required to come to my office hours. If you would like to, I'm more than happy to work with you, but I'm not making it an absolute requirement that everybody needs to show up. You can also use the office hour discussion board if you would prefer just to ask a simple question. That's perfectly fine with me. To me, my office hours are for you, so you may use them how you want to. But do keep in mind that if you're struggling with something and then you get a bad grade on an essay, if you didn't use my office hours to the best of your ability and to their full potential, really that accountability comes back on you. So don't go into a big assignment with a question without taking the time to come to my office hours. There's no need for that. We don't want it to affect your grade, so please come to my office hours whenever you need to. No question is too small or insignificant. All right, so the second activity you need to do is to complete these readings. You'll always have an activity directions sheet, which will go over what exactly you need to do. They're usually pretty straightforward. Here you just need to review what fiction is and then learn a bit about plot, conflict, and character. And then once you do that, you need to read the short stories that are provided for you. So let's move on to that activity for the week. We'll just kind of close them up as we go. All right, so you actually have to pick 3 of these. So take a look at every one of them, please, and then pick from there which ones you would like to work with. Read at least maybe the first paragraph and try to get a feel for each one and which one you might have an affinity for, or something that might fit your personality or your likes, so that you can have something to write about. You're going to learn this semester that if you are forced to write about a piece of literature that you don't have a personal connection to, or you don't have a true interest in, it's going to be really hard for you to write that. I've been there. I took an English course about Walt Whitman and Emily Dickinson, and while I really enjoy American literature, and while that class taught me to truly appreciate both of those poets, they weren't something I was truly passionate about. So writing my term papers was really hard because I just wasn't, that into them. Whereas if you give me something to write about in my favorite time period, then I may not shut up about it. So make sure you pick things that you really are interested in. And if it takes you reading a bit of each story to figure that out, then please take that time to do that. Also, since you've already completed the readings about plot, conflict, and character, as you read the 3 stories that you choose, make sure you take notes about those 3 elements so that you can see how plot is working in A Rose for Emily, or how conflict is occurring in A Rose for Emily, so that you can start to not just read those stories, but read them with a purpose. So make sure you're doing that. Also, I mentioned elsewhere that it's a really good idea for you to print out your readings for this course, and I highly encourage you to do that. I can't encourage you enough. Reading on a screen is completely different from reading a book or something in front of you. If it's in front of you, you can stop, you can think, you can ponder, you can, to me, more easily than on a screen. Yes, technically you can do it on a screen too, but on paper you can write down notes. You can't do that as easily on a screen, so I really encourage you to read it on paper. Because your eyes work differently, your brain works differently, and you will retain more and get more out of your readings if you're doing it on paper as opposed to on a screen. So it's not a requirement. It's obviously not something I can force you to do, but I really encourage you to do that. Also, it allows you the chance again to annotate and make notes because you have to work with these stories related to formalism and plot, those kinds of things. So if you can take notes as you go, you are going to save yourself so much trouble, I promise. So take the time, take the expense, and it's worth it. Okay, so you pick 3 stories to read. Then you need to do some reading on formalism, which is also called new criticism. So you've got a lot of reading this week because you're reading about this theory for the first time, even though we're going to work with it later too. So you're really just trying to get some introductory information this week. So there's a bit more reading to do. After that, you can complete this discussion board, which is about formalism. You're going to pick a couple questions that you will find in the essentials page right here. And then you're going to answer those in your discussion post. Also, this is a discussion. I don't think the instructions are really clear that you have to discuss with one another, but please feel free to do so. Have a conversation with each other about this material. Don't just write your post and leave it on the discussion board and forget it. That's not the point. Let's discuss about it. Okay. You're going to write your first T analysis paper. These papers are very, very specific, so I want to make sure that you understand exactly what you're expected to do. You're going to write several of these throughout the semester, so again, this is your first time doing it. It may take you a little longer to get the hang of it and truly understand. But very basically, you're going to create a T. I'll go into the instructions. You're going to create a T, and on one side, you're going to have 10 questions or 10 statements, 10 passages that you're pulling out from the reading, and then on the other side you're gonna find out what they mean and how they help work together to create a thesis statement. These are all really specific directions, so please take the time to read this. I'm just getting down here to the visual. So on this side you have all of these thoughts, ideas, passages, and then on the right side you have what they mean and how they work together. And then you can come up with a thesis statement, or a question, sorry. I think you start with the question on what you're trying to figure out, find passages that help you answer that question, and then exactly how those passages answer that question, and then come up with an observation or a thesis statement. And this is all going to be used to write an essay. So this is kind of your pre-writing exercise. I love how this course pretty much baby steps you into writing a literary analysis. It's a really great way to learn. This is complex information. It's a completely different way of thinking and reading. So I like how this course really gently eases you into it. So use the T analysis to its full potential. Make sure you've got your 10 passages or or statements that you're using, make sure you really are trying to, this is the analysis side on the right. This is where you're going to start analyzing what's going on in the story and how those 10 occurrences that you pick, what they mean and how they're significant. So let me know if you have any questions. This is probably very, very new to you. But again, it's a really easy way of just gently pulling you into a literary analysis. And there is the template right here. This is exactly how you need to set yours up. So you need to clarify which lens you're using, come up with a title, make sure you've got the question that you're starting with, and then formulate a thesis statement based on all of the passages that you have, that you found, and then the meanings you found. So obviously you're going to have to download this using this little arrow button in the lower right, and then fill this in Word, and this is what you're going to resubmit to me. So again, if you have any questions, just let me know. All right, so we've gone through that, we've gone through your T analysis. All right, review the English department's MLA guidelines. I've provided some videos on how to help you with that. So make sure you do all the reading that goes along with it, especially with how to quote properly, how to format, things like that, so that you fit them seamlessly into your paper. All right, here we go. So this is the information you need to that you need to read up on. You're using the online writing lab through Purdue University, and take a look at these kinds of examples on that website. And really take your time and look through the OWL from Purdue, because it is an extremely beneficial resource, and there will be information about literature, I believe that there is some analysis and literary criticism in there. So play around on that website and see. I mean, there's even grammar. So if you know that you're struggling with something, that's a go-to resource, because if you come to me and say, oh, I'm having a problem with this, can you help? I might send you right back to the OWL. So really look through there. There's a ton of information on that website, and I think it's quite user-friendly in terms of trying to answer questions and looking for things. All right, you also need to join a study group, so make sure you follow the directions there and get that set up this week so that you can start doing some group work next week. And then, as always, do your self-assessment and your lesson evaluation. So I apologize for the length of this video. In the future, they won't be so long, but I want to make sure you guys understand everything and you know exactly what you're doing. So if you have any questions, just let me know, and have a great week.